Welcome to the Very Merry Life podcast, unfiltered, unscripted, and always relatable as fuck. I'm your host, Mary Hendricks, and you might know me from Instagram as That Relatable AF Mama, who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, hang tight and join in as things get real, honest, and probably a bit too TMI as I, and the help of some amazing guests, dive into all things mom life, marriage, sex, and more. No experts, just real life moms talking real life things. So get ready to laugh lots, cry occasionally, and leave feeling seen, supported, and inspired. Making friends is hard enough as an adult, let alone as a mom, but all of that changes right here and now. So hang on, lean in, virtually clink whatever glass you have nearby with mine, and let's go. All right. Hi.
Hi, Mary.
I'm so excited. We've been chatting for a while on Instagram, and we've never met in person, but one of these days we will, because we're like an hour away from each other.
I know. And it's so crazy because when I first started following you, Spencer was a little baby. And I remember it was a poster you had from the birth poster.
Yes.
And I started following you then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I
remember really connecting with you and I'm going to have you introduce yourself in a second, but let's do that first. Have you introduce, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. I'm Katayah. I'm a stay-at-home mom and wife from New Jersey. I love my Jersey town. I also do budget-friendly finds and adventures that I share with my audience. I know that I like a good deal, so I am always sharing it with my friends and family.
I love it. I love it. Well, and as you were saying, we've been following each other for a while, but I remember really connecting with you, like where we were chit-chatting and messages when you were pregnant with Morgan.
Yes.
And I think it was because you were concerned about delivery, like your delivery. And I think it was because you had seen something about statistics with Black women in delivery. And I remember you were really nervous, and I had recommended my midwife practice drive, but I was like, this is what you need to do. And obviously you're okay. So it all turned out.
Yeah, I really appreciated that from you because what I was so nervous about is I had preeclampsia. Okay. And with that, it's just like such a high risk anyway when you're pregnant. Yeah. And then, being a Black woman, we are at a higher risk of having that. Yeah. So I was just nervous about my chances of delivering not only having a safe delivery, but also not dying, it's like,
well, and I know that that's an actual thing. Like I remember when I heard about that, because I am certified in pre and postnatal fitness and stuff like that. And I remember when getting certified and working with a variety of women, that was like the discrepancy is statistically, Black women do worse during pregnancy. Yeah. And like from your experience, did you ever find that that there's truth in how you've been treated medically because of that?
I will say that my OBGYN, they are absolutely awesome. Yeah. I did have to switch Kennedy's doctor though, because we did have a little bit of an issue where she said, well, you just don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And so I kind of called her out on that and asked her why she didn't think I knew and why my daughter, what the conversation really led around was that my daughter needed to get something that I told her historically in our family, we don't do well in this area because we have high blood pressure, which a lot of African Americans do. Yeah. And so he went and told me that I am not a medical professional. I have no idea what I'm talking about. She is the one with the degree and not me. I don't know if it was just so much of a Black and white issue more than just an authoritative issue that she had. Yeah. But yes, statistically, I've never had a run-in with it, but I do know a lot of people who have when they were pregnant. One of my friends in particular, the doctor just told her oh, you're just going to have a C-section. There was no conversation. There was no what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just drives me nuts. And again, I don't know because I know, obviously I don't know from that side, but I know from just a patient side.
Yeah.
I remember when I had Cassidy,
my team of doctors, like I hated that practice. Like I hated that practice because they just, one, you never got to know who they were. And then two, anytime you talk to them, you felt like an idiot. And that's like the biggest thing that I always say to anyone that's like having a baby now, like any of my friends, I said, like, shop around your doctors and make sure that whoever you're going to doesn't make you feel stupid.
Yep. Yeah.
Even if you're going for the silliest of reasons. Like I remember with Haley being pregnant this third time, there was like a moment when I was 17 weeks pregnant or something. And it was before I could really feel or kick or anything. And I just had like a feeling. And I was like, something's wrong. Nothing was wrong, but I just was having an anxiety moment. And I called the office and I said, I think I'm being crazy. I probably am being crazy, but something is telling me that something's wrong. And they're like, well, come in. And they didn't make nothing was wrong, but they were like, we want you to come in like that. That's, you got to trust your gut. And if we were going to constantly tell you you're an idiot, like, no one would ever try to trust their gut. And sometimes my gut's typically is anxiety. So it's just one of those things.
For real. Mine too. I'm like, okay. I always think of like the worst case scenario. I don't know what's wrong with me, but
No, well, that's motherhood. It's just
mom, right? Like I was about to say, well, then again, I'm a mom. So
that's just where our brain goes through. It's like, I don't know if that's my intuition or just, just my stress. But
right.
Well, and so you've been growing, and I'm like, I love watching you grow because I think you're just wonderful on Instagram. Well, you are like, you're very positive, and I think that's like a much needed thing. But you truly, like, there are certain people that I can tell put on a facade. I feel like that's starting to go away on Instagram, but I feel like you see people who truly are enjoying. Oh, hi.
Oh,
hi. You say hi.
Hi, sweetheart. She is so beautiful, Mary.
Thank you.
Aw.
I love you. Okay, go listen to Daddy, okay? Bye. Bye, Cass. I love you.
Aw.
All right. What I was saying was I see people on Instagram that put on a facade of like, oh, my life is so perfect. I love motherhood, but I'm like, do you really love motherhood? I think you truly love motherhood, but I know it's not easy, but I think you truly are enjoying it right now.
I really, really enjoy motherhood, but it is not easy.
Yeah.
And one thing I told myself actually after reading one of my friends' posts, she said, on this space, you will not see me show my kids acting out in public.
Yep.
You just won't. And I think for her, it was more of my child is already going to have a hard time growing up having a certain image placed on him. So I'm not going to do that on this space. Now, I'm not taking it that far. And her reasoning is her reasoning. But for me, I'm like, I can't even catch my kids in the act because they're always like, damn it. Like, I'm in this, like, it's kind of like this moment of pure chaos. I can't even grab my phone to like record the chaos.
No. And that's like the last thing you want to do when you're like really freaking out. It's like, wait, hit pause on your crazy self. And then let me scream at you while my phone's on. It's just it's not like, not fluid enough.
And I love you for that. Cause like, I love that. Like I started following because I'm like, yo, Mary hits the spot every time. Like one video you posted one time, I was like, I literally like, that's my life. Like I just went through that. And it's like, you had this video with Spencer the other day where he's like, Mom, my poop's a letter I. Look, it's a letter I.
Oh, I tried recording one today. He called me in and I kid you not, he called me in. He said, it's the letter R. And when he says R, he says it like a pirate. So it's a little dragged out. He's like, it's R. And I'm like, oh God. So I go in there. I kid you not. It was a damn lowercase R. It was a lowercase R. I couldn't even stop laughing. I was like floored. And I was like, I kid you not. It was like, but not like a lowercase R where it's just like I'm going to draw this. Oh, it wasn't like an R where it was like a straight up where there was a little speck at the top.
No.
I was so impressed. And I was like, oh no. My gosh. I was like, this is my life. I was like, what happened?
That's how I feel. I feel like it's just pure chaos. And I'm so crazy because there are some days I like even right before this podcast, I told my husband, I'm like, if you don't get home right now and deal with these kids, I'm going to lose my mind. Mm-hmm. And literally then I came up here, I was like, all right, let me get myself together. Yeah. Because, it's like, I feel like there are moments where I feel like I'm going crazy. And then there are other moments where I look at my kids and I'm like, I want another one. It's so crazy.
What is that? I don't
know.
Does that go away? Does that ever go away? Because I'm over here like, I'm like,
I think it does. Some women tell me like they know when they're done, and I know I'm not done. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I know.
Yeah, it's weird. I think I had like a moment this over last week when I went to the zoo. I went to Turtleback Zoo in wherever that is.
Nice, Livingston. Yeah.
And we went, and I had my kids. I had the stroller and my 3 and whatever. And it was crazy because I forgot that it was like the National Teacher Conference or Convention.
Yeah.
So we were pushing everyone and we're like getting stuck. It was crazy. And I just remember looking around, you see a bunch of moms with a bunch of strollers, and I have my stroller and my 3 who I'm trying to make sure I don't lose anyone. And I just remember thinking in my head saying like, I'm kind of ready for like the stroller years. To be done. Like, I'm like, I'm ready for like that next phase or like, and I remember my mom said that to me where she said, Mary, you're probably going to feel it in like, when you're at the beach, like when you're at the beach and you just want to kind of like enjoy as opposed to like constantly chasing someone or making sure not drowning or having to move out, like things like that, where she's like, you're going to one day see another young mom and be like, that's so cute, but I'm glad I'm past it. I'm like,
that is actually great. Like, and moms know, you know what I mean? Like your mom, right? Like they know they can give you those gems.
Yeah.
And like, I so miss my mom giving me those gems. So that like, I like that. I'm going to keep that near and dear to my heart because I definitely, some days I have those moments. Like I had a moment the other day where I was like, Dad, like, I just want to go out with my husband. I just want it to be us. Like, I can't like, and literally to the point where I was like, Quan, when we go out, we're going to get so like fucked up. Like, and then just like do whatever we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, Dad, we can't even do that because I have to be a responsible parent. And whoever ever watches my kids, it's always like, no, you need to come get them now. Like, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You can't even like fully let loose yet because God forbid someone calls you with an emergency. You're like able to drive somewhere. Oh, it's the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't
know. It's hard. I don't know if like right now I'm in the zone where I'm like, it's heartbreaking to think about being done.
Yes. Oh my God.
But I also like, again, like I said, I'm ready for the chaos to stop, but I'm also like, I love the chaos sometimes. And it's hard to imagine my life not being this forever.
Oh my God. I read a post the other day that was talking about, kids after the age of 20, they just tear off and you kind of don't see them for a long time until 30.
Yeah.
And that like broke my heart. I was like, oh my God, no, my babies. Like I want to see them.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not being around them. And you're right. Like the chaos sometimes is like, I'm enjoying it. And then at the same time, it's like, like I just need it to stop. I need it to all stop.
Yeah.
But the sheer thought of not being in the like pregnancy and the birthing stage is really daunting. I don't want it to end.
Well, I feel like it's been built up so much. I feel like that has been built up. I don't know, like, and it's not like I was constantly, but I feel like as a kid, I always wondered what my babies were going to look like. I always was thinking about like having a family. I always like was excited about that. I know some people don't, but I always was like looking forward to that. But no one really talks about like the growing portion of the family is super exciting. No one really talks about like the nurturing, like when you're young, you're nurturing it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I'm like constantly, I love the excitement of something new.
Right.
I'm almost like addicted to that.
Oh,
like per se, where I'm like, what's going to be, I need to make sure something's exciting after I'm done with this.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I don't know what that
I kept on telling my husband, I'm like, you know what? It's really important to marry your best friend. Like I married my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that's like such a good thing, because when you don't and the kids are done and you're out, you're looking at that person like, I don't even like you.
Well, I know
And
you talk about that a lot on your page, and I love that you do, because I feel like it's hard with the motherhood space on Instagram.
Right.
Because I feel like we're so mommy focused that we're completely forgetting about the partner.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah.
And that needs a whole lot of work.
Definitely.
It really does. I feel like that's such like a part that's not being encouraged enough.
I agree.
It's just at this point, I mean, because it's hard. Marriage is so freaking hard after kids. I think what's the divorce rate? It's like 70% of parents typically end in divorce.
Yeah.
Of kids, which makes sense. But it's just like no one's explaining kind of how to nurture that relationship and how to like empathy. I feel like empathy is huge, and encouraging that enough.
We'll be back after a quick break. Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
I agree. Like, I know for me, it's not an easy walk in the park. And being totally transparent, the first year of our marriage was terrible.
Yeah.
Do you hear me? Terrible. And we were best friends. We knew each other for 10 years prior to. So then when we got married, I was like, oh, I don't know you. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I could not even understand why our marriage shifted so much until we went to a marriage counselor and things just transformed for us. Yeah. And so because of that, we knew now like how to disagree and be okay with it, how to love each other, like the way he needs to be loved, the way I need to be loved, and then how to parent together, right? Like, and so when I see young couples arguing and just not getting along and on the brinks of divorce, I'm like, dag, I almost remember being there, but then at the same time, like there is help out there. You know what I mean? Like, but you're so right. Like it's not nurtured enough. It's not even talked about enough. It's like, whatever, like the kids come first, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I remember someone said like there was it's like a newspaper article and someone was talking about like how you and your partner come first and your kids come second. People, when you try to tell someone that, they freak out and they're like, I'm sorry, my kids will always come first over my spouse. And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, that's not saying like you're going to choose, like if you were in a burning building that you're going to choose your spouse over your kids. I would, my husband would choose my kids over me. Like, that's just the way
agree.
I would want things. But it's the family aspect. Like I always say, it took two people to tango. Like if you both were in agreement that you're bringing this baby in, both are putting in the work to make sure that that foundation is solid.
Yeah.
So you could grow on it. You can't build on something that's shaky. So you got to keep.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, same. And it's so crazy because motherhood is really, really rough, right? Like, and even the other day I was thinking about it, just a partnership thing. And someone said like, you know, my marriage is going strong because we're 50-50 in this partnership.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with that because I'm like, I don't want to be 50-50 with my husband. I want to be 100-100, right? And like his strengths are his strengths. Like my husband is a better worker. Like he is. He just is a really great worker. And I am great in the household and being an entrepreneur. Yes. So I'm pursuing that. And people will really look at stay-at-home moms, right? You get that group of people that feel like we're not doing anything, right? Like you stay home. I wish I had that life. And I'm like, well, I don't like our job never ends. Like it never shuts off.
Yeah.
I'm on a podcast with you. And right now I'm like, okay, I know he's putting the kids to bed. I hope that, you know, like.
No, you're constantly thinking. I literally go to bed and I'm like running through. He like falls asleep. It drives me nuts. I swear that man can fall asleep in like 5 seconds. We'll lay down. Okay. Within 5 minutes, we'll hear. And I'm like, and then I'm laying there and I'm like going through like, did I mess up my kids today?
Yeah.
Will they love me? What trauma did I did I
Yes.
today? Like,
oh my goodness.
like going through the list.
Same. Like Quan falls asleep so fast that I'm literally thinking he's joking. I hit him the other day. Like, absolutely not. I just told him absolutely not. Like, you can't fall asleep that fast. Like, no
I'm
more.
like, what happened? What's going on there? I was like, are you having an issue? Like, what's going on there? But then, or Kevin will sometimes wake up and I'll be like, he'll see the light coming from my phone. He's like, go to bed. And I'm like, I'm making lists. He was like, for what? And I'm like, I don't know. Just leave me alone.
I have so many lists in my phone that never even.
No, they don't even come true. I have to make a list or else I get like anxious. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too.
Or reminders because I'm like, I know I'm going to forget it. I need to remember.
Yep. I'm like I have ADHD. Like, it's just so intense.
I say the same thing. And I'm like, I don't know if I do or not. So I'm like, but there are certain moments where I'm like, I just hired a virtual assistant.
Oh, that's so nice.
Just brought her through like a whole list of like my emails. And she's like, Mary, you have like 3,000 emails that are unanswered. And I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, but I know what I'm doing. And she's like, Mary, it works. I was like, it works for me. I'm like, she's like, we're going to, I'm like, I probably have ADHD, but that's all right.
No, good for you getting a virtual assistant because Lord knows. I told my husband, I was like, when I have another child, I want a nanny or something. I can't.
You need, it's so hard. Like that whole asking for help aspect is something I like am constantly talking about. And virtual assistant is more for like this space just because thankfully it's grown into a spot where I need that help.
That's great.
But with like just home-based wise, like I hired a cleaning company to come and they're wonderful. And it's so hard for me to like talk about that sometimes because I'm like, there's such like a stigma, I think, with just like hiring help in general, regardless of what it is, where it's just like, it's just hard. But for me, and then granted, we can afford it and things like that. Not that it's even that expensive, honestly, because I don't get Starbucks. So I like to think of it as like that.
Because I don't get Starbucks.
Right. Seriously though, I actually went there and I was like, if you spend $6 at Starbucks every single day, it would cost more than what I'm paying my cleaning company to come twice a week. Or twice a month. So I'm like, okay, it works. But we were talking and I said, but just that like asking for help in and of itself, or even admitting help especially when you're a stay-at-home mom, is very hard. And I had said that on my stories and a lot of people, and I said, why is that hard?
Yeah.
Like in the answers, and a lot of it as stay-at-home moms that were coming through and they're like, I feel like a failure because this is essentially my job. And I responded on my stories and I said, you realize that that's not your job. Like you're a stay-at-home mom, so you can parent your kids at home. The cleaning, the cooking, the everything else is not a part of your job description. It was never supposed to be included in your job description because we're spending more time at home. It's just been assumed that we're the ones that are taking care of it all. And that's not.
Wow. I really like that. Like, because right now that's my guilt.
Yeah.
The only time we had a cleaning company come in was when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And they came in because I was like, I cannot, like, I just couldn't. And so my husband hired a cleaning company and it was amazing. Like I could not, like, what she did, I could not do. Like,
well, but the way I think about it is like, picture if your husband was working from home.
Right.
Do you think he would have the time to be able to get up and go clean the baseboards and go?
Of course.
He wouldn't, because he has to dedicate his time to his work and our kids. So anything that's like engage, like obviously if you're engaging with your kids and anything that's like messy play with your kids, I consider that a part of the job.
Yeah.
But everything else is for
this is a game changer.
That's the way I like to do it. Well, like obviously, I'm home, so if I can pick up stuff, I will. But it's not an expectation.
Yeah, this is a game changer because for me, I mean, I will tell you the truth. Like I run myself ragged. I do.
Yeah, it's a societal thing. I think it's honestly a societal thing. No matter who you are, especially when you become a single mom, we just for some reason have driven in this like 1950s housewife of like picking up, ironing and vacuuming. And trust me, I do that. Like I love it. I love vacuuming my house, but like I don't have the time to do it all and raise children
and raise kids. Like, and that's like the thing. Like, I stayed home with my kids, honestly, because I just wanted to be there for those years I know are so short.
Yeah,
and I find myself having to place them in front of a device or go read a book, go away constantly so I can tend to like cleaning.
Yeah.
And how is that, rearing my kids? No, it's just like trying to shoo them off so I can get something else done.
Yeah.
And yes, I get it. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to just watch a mess just, pile up.
No, but I think it's like
watching kids,
picking and choosing.
Yes, picking and choosing, definitely.
Picking and choosing what your battle is for the day. But also, like, even when you messaged me yesterday on Instagram, like when I shared that Cassidy made our beds, I'm like, it's certain things like that where I'm like, there are reasons why I want to do it.
Yeah.
In front of them and clean up a home in a certain way because I hope it reflects on them.
Definitely.
I'm like I'm a big believer that mental health and a clean house are big things.
100%.
So I'm big into trying to teach them that. But if I can't get like laundry folded or anything, I'm like, whatever.
I know how much you love laundry, so.
I have a giant ass pile right next to me right now. Well, although it's folded because Kevin folded it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
It's big. So
well, go Kevin.
Kudos. Well, and that's like the big thing. It's like it kills me because sometimes I hear like what women message me on Instagram and they'll just say like, my husband makes me feel so bad and things like that. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like what happened? Because at that point, like for me, and what kills me with that is like your partnership. Like you said, you're married to your best friend. Like I would think like Kevin has never once made me feel bad.
Me too. I agree.
Because, like we respect one another.
Right.
Like, I would never say anything like that to him, and he would never say anything like that to me. Even if he probably thought it, he would never even say it because he is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I'm sure my husband has thought it, but I have never heard him say it. In fact, when the laundry, like there was just this time, I don't know where my mind was at, but like I just could not get laundry done. I was like, I just can't even do it.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah.
Like he just did it like without complaint. Like he just was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like I'm doing it. So I hear those stories and I'm like, dang, that like sucks. Like I have a friend who goes through that very often. Like her husband will tell her like, well, that's your job. So that's your job. Everything is her job. Everything is her job just because he steps foot outside. And that's not fair.
No. Again, it's because he, that's the way I view it. That's kind of why, like when I get dressed for the day and I try to make it very known, like being a stay-at-home mom is my job. It is my job.
Yes.
And that's why I get dressed for the day and I put on shoes for the day and things like that, because I'm like, it separates me from being just home all day to being like, this is my role. This is what I'm showing up for. And this is what we're going to get done today.
Yep. And like, that's me. Like, my thing is getting outside every single day, doing an adventure, doing something fun with my kids, like taking them out of the house for me shows me that this is my job. This is what I'm doing with my kids for the day. And I take it like seriously and I love it. Right. And I have fun with it. I'm not blowing my head out because, sometimes when you're just in your four walls all day, you do go stir crazy. And so do the kids.
Yeah.
So I got to get out.
It becomes Groundhog's Day.
Oh yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah. Definitely.
But, well, and I wanted to talk to, so recently on Instagram, you shared kind of about, was it postpartum? Do you think it was postpartum?
Yeah, about basically just depression. Like I had severe depression, not only from my mom passing away and not really addressing the grieving process, right? Yep. But just having children and not feeling like myself and motherhood being lonely sometimes, very lonely.
I'm so sorry about your mom. When did she pass away?
She passed away 3 years ago from cancer. Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. So, and it's so crazy. Like one of the posts you had up about your sister, who always, it touches my heart every single time in a different way, because I think whenever I hear someone's parent passing away or just like any cancer related stuff, it always touches me deeper because cancer is so nasty, it's so ugly. And the grieving process for your parents had to look very, very different. I could not imagine that. And so the process that I'm going through right now, I'm realizing that it's not just like, 5 steps and then you're done. It's like, no, there's a zillion steps.
There's there's a zillion steps, and it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. And that's the thing. It's like grief doesn't go away. So like when you finish the rest of the steps, it doesn't just mean that it's going to like poof, I'm healed and I won't be sad anymore. Like you're always going to miss your mom and especially your mom. Like, I more or less think it from your mom's aspect because I'm like, that breaks my heart. And it probably hits you more now because you're a mom.
Because I'm a mom. Yep. 100%.
Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Morgan looks exactly like my mom. Like unreal, like twins.
Oh. And did your mom meet Morgan? Or no, Morgan, no. And then your oldest is Kennedy.
She met Kennedy. Kennedy was 3 when she passed.
Oh, okay.
So she did meet Kennedy. But like just depression is so very real and it's so very dark. And I feel like sometimes it's either so talked about now, which I think is a great thing, but then it kind of got commercialized. Yep. So when you discuss it with other people, they're like, girl, I was depressed last week when I couldn't go somewhere. And I'm like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. Like I was dark. The walls were caving in. I had dark thoughts. I had thoughts, Mary, where I was like, it's really okay if I'm not here. Like, in fact, it would be better.
Yeah.
And I knew then I had to address it. Like, and one thing that stood out for me was when I told my husband one day, I was just like, I don't even want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and was like, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? And that's when he started like talking to me more about it, because I think he just saw a change in me. I wasn't bubbly. I wasn't happy. I just didn't want to be here anymore. I was okay with, honestly.
Like if something happened to you, you'd be fine with it.
I would be fine. I thought many times, let me just get in my car and just drive into the opposite direction of traffic.
Yeah. I've had that before. I dealt with like depression and stuff during college. It was awful.
It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah. It's the worst because you don't even know how to tell anyone that, because you also don't want people to freak out.
Yeah.
But you're just like, you kind of hope that something would rather happen to you because you're just tired. You're tired. And you don't feel like talking about it, and you don't even like have the energy to like explain, and you don't even know how to explain. You don't even know what that feeling is, but you just know that you want it to be done. It's awful.
Yeah.
And I commend you. I remember when you shared that, I was like, go you, like for sharing that. That's not easy. It's not easy to get out there, especially when like I've had guests on here talk about like, for postpartum depression and stuff like that. And it's just the moment I feel like we get so afraid to open up about the dark stuff because like, I think we get afraid that it's going to get held against us.
Yeah.
The negative parts, because if there's ever a moment you're overwhelmed or you asked for it, or you had kids, so you were asking for this, or type of thing, and that's not how it works. It's not how
and
it works.
you said it. I was just tired.
Yeah,
I was just tired. I was like, I'm done. I'm okay with being done. But I think like, and I'm still in the process of, going through it. I got help, and I'm not ashamed of that because I needed it.
Yeah.
I needed someone to talk to, but I definitely know that for me, I needed to get out. I needed to just get out because I think like, a lot of times people say I had kids and my kids were my identity. Yeah. For me, my mom was my identity. It was almost opposite. Like she took up such a big corner in my life. I felt like everything that I did hinged on her opinion, like what she thought of it, or is she proud of me? Will she like this? Everything. I mean, from the outfits I wore. Yeah. And, it was unreal almost.
Yeah.
So I just have to get through life understanding that I am in charge of my life.
Yeah.
And though she took up a big corner in my life, that doesn't mean the moment I had with her and the time that I did have with her was really important and valid, but it didn't define me. Right. Yeah. I still have so much more to go.
Yeah.
And that is still hard to embrace.
It's hard to accept. Like, I think the biggest thing, like I always said, I remember someone's talking once, and it's like this, continue writing the story that you're looking forward to telling them when you see them again. Obviously that would matter if you believe in an afterlife, which I
Yeah, me too. Me too. So
but
do
like, I always think about that and I'm like, you know what, there are certain moments where I'm like, I just like when you get really sad and stuff like that, you're like, I can't imagine any of that. But I'm like, that's when you kind of have to think like your mom just, she ran along with you and she then pushed. And it's just like that final push on a bike almost, like just going and you keep pedaling forward until the end. And then you're going to tell her about all the stuff that you did. And that's like the thing that like, I think has gotten me a little bit through grief moments. Because, like they're just, it's weird. It's weird. Grief is so weird. And I don't think I realized that I was grieving the way I was until I had my kids. It's just, I think it's been a roller coaster to kind of go through that because it was so long ago for me. My sister passed away like 95. So
wow.
27 years ago.
That's
so
rough.
it was a long time ago. But it's still like it's 27 years and I was 5. So like for me, I didn't even think I would still be.
How was that though? Like how?
I don't remember a whole ton. I remember the initial doctor's appointment where my mom brought my sister and me to the doctor to go look at something because I think she'd found a lump on her leg and she wasn't walking at the time. Like she was walking, but she stopped walking essentially because she must have been in pain. And I remember that doctor's appointment like a little bit. And then I remember like one hospital trip. And I remember like a memory of my mom sitting on the stairs crying. And then I remember like, it's so hard. That 5-year-old memory is so hard where I can't tell what's been a story of me, but I do remember kind of a little bit of the wake. And then I think that's it.
Wow. That's so like, Mary, I am so sorry. Like every time you bring her up, I am so happy that she has a story.
Yeah.
But I cannot imagine.
Yeah, I think again, like I don't think that grief, I knew it was there until I had kids and until my kids hit that age.
Yeah.
I don't know how my mom made it through. I remember, and I remember texting my mom when I was a month postpartum with Cassidy. And like when your first baby, like I always had it, but with like my first with Cassidy, I didn't love her right away. Like I loved her because she was mine, but I wasn't in love with her, if that makes sense. Like I just didn't know her yet. And I didn't really I just didn't have that bond. And then I remember around a month with Cassidy, it like hit all of a sudden where I was so head over heels in love with this child. And I think when that happened, I then pictured all of the terrible shit that can happen to her. And I lost my mind. And I remember just crying and I couldn't, I was like overcome by all that. And then I was like picturing and I was like, my mom went through this. And I remember I texted my mom, I was like, how did you like, I don't think I would be able to continue living if something happened to her. And I said, I don't understand how you continued. And she said, well, I had your brother and you. She said, I had to keep on going. She's like, trust me, I thought it. Like I thought it. But she said I had to keep on going. But I think that's why as a parent, it's hitting me more now where I'm like, yeah, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I said that I actually had another guest on the podcast and she lost her son. She's amazing. I'll have to share her story. She lost her son. He wore one of those amber teething necklaces and he was accidentally strangled at a daycare. And she's like a huge advocate for like child safety and stuff like that. But we were talking about it and she said it's hard because with the grief aspect of like with kids in general, it's hard to talk about it because grieving your children, especially with other moms, it reminds the other moms that it's possible. And it's something that they don't want to hear. So they shut it down. So moms in that club of having lost a child don't really have a space to talk because no one wants to hear it. And it's not because they're not empathetic. It's just because it, like hearing that stuff, it gets in our hearts and it kills us. So we'd rather just not hear the bad.
Yeah.
Because it reminds us that
bad can happen. It's tough because death is random sometimes, right? It's very random. Yeah. And my baby cousin, he was 3 years old. He passed away. He had a very, very, very rare disease.
Yeah.
And actually, when I even see my cousin, his mom, I can't even, I just want to hold her.
Yeah.
You know, she has 2 other children, but I don't know how she's going through the steps because honestly, I had that hit me with Morgan.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much with Kennedy. Kennedy, I had like that weird postpartum that I just didn't even know. I was in a fog the whole entire time until she was like 2.
Yeah.
And then when I had Morgan, I literally cried and cried one night so hard. And I was like, why would I bring her into this disgusting world? Like I just went crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, God, she's gonna die one day. One day we all die. Like it was so morbid. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But I was like, Lord, like, please don't let her die. Like we're all, you know, clearly one
We're
day.
all gonna die. Yeah. You're just
like, even if she's old, I'm like, oh my God, why would I do this? This is the worst decision. And then I like had to get myself together. But
That's so funny. I swear every mom has a moment like that where we're like, oh my God, what did we do? Like this
why?
poor things, can't they live forever? Like what is
Yes.
it?
And even still, like I just want my babies to live forever. Losing one of my children, I think I would spiral out of control.
No. Well, I think, and I think that's why with you losing your mom, I think that breaks my heart. Well, it breaks my heart in all aspects, but it breaks my heart knowing that side too. And I think that's probably, again, now that you're a mom, like, I think it's just, I can't imagine saying goodbye to my kids. Like from a selfish mom aspect, like if you were to tell me now, like I have to leave my kids, like granted, I believe in an afterlife, it would just,
I think like that was, for my mom, I think when she knew she was gonna die,
yeah,
she was so strong. But I think when she knew she was gonna die, she almost like went into, I can't even explain. It's really, really like spiritual and weird. And people who don't understand it, I get it because I didn't understand it until I saw it myself. She really went into this stage of just kind of like metamorphosis. Like I saw her become
something other.
like, yeah, like yeah. I didn't know that person.
Yeah. I mean, my mom is like a big into that. And my mom swears. She's like, and you hear stories like that. She swears like with my sister, when my sister passed away, she said, and my mom is not this way. Like if you know my mom is like a pretty straight cut woman. She swears that a light lifted out of my sister. And she's like, I watched it.
Yep.
I watched it physically happen, and she would never bullshit stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she even says that with my grandpa, when my grandpa passed away, my dad and my mom, I guess, were in the hospital room with them, and they turned around, or no, he passed away like peacefully. And my dad was upset. It was my dad's dad. He was upset. He turned away from my grandpa and was crying, and my mom was comforting him. And she said she turned around and she swears, like my mom is so anti like hokey stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
She saw my grandpa's body like almost like move in like a way where it was like something getting released, and his mouth open, and she saw like a light come out. Wow. My mom is like the last person you would ever expect you to see that. And she was like, I kid you not. And she tried tapping my dad to be like, look, and before she could ever do it, and before he could turn around. Yeah. And she said it was so fast that it was amazing.
That's kind of like with my mom. Like I remember seeing her on the bed, and her body was there. Yeah. But she wasn't. Yeah. I was like, that's not her. Yeah. Because like I realized then, like, we are really just a shell. It's just a shell. Yeah. And that's what like got me. And it was like really weird. It's hard, right? Because it's like, dang, that was my mom. That was like like that body was what held like her spirit and who she was and her personality and all that stuff. But when she was gone from it, I was almost like, oh my God, like who is this? Yeah. Yeah, like I was like, I don't like understand. Like this is not like who I even know. I almost wanted to like run out the room. Yeah. And but yeah, I mean, she actually was wonderful. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she really raised me to be the mom that I am. And even sometimes, it's so crazy how much I am like her when I was like, I don't want to be like her. But now I'm like, okay, like I'm happy I am. But I remember she used to always say like, Dag, I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough. Like all I did was like, stay home with you guys. And at some point, like when I was in high school, she became a court reporter, did that for years, but still she felt like, I didn't have like this great career or leave a mark on this world, but she really did, because she left such a huge mark on me. And I remember in the car, I was driving, Kennedy was in the back, and I said that, I was like, Dag, like, she goes, Mommy, what did you want to be when you got older? And I was like, a dentist. And she was like, oh, and you became a mommy, how wonderful. Aww. And I like cried my eyes out, because she was like, she felt like, wow, like you became a mom and said how great. And I was like, wow.
Well, and that's the thing, like that's a testament to your mom. Your mom sounds like a freaking awesome woman. Because I know you, so I'm gonna take that's your good her good work is right by you. But honestly, like if you think about that, like she did do enough. Like she has you, and you're now on Instagram, and again, Instagram is such a great place. But what I honestly think, I wouldn't have asked you to be on, but I think that you are doing really awesome stuff on your page, and you're making Mary good stuff. So that's why it's like you're now passing on the legacy of her being awesome.
Mary, I really appreciate that, because you're someone that I just look to. Like Quan knows you, like, and it's so crazy. I'm always like, look, Mary. I'm like showing him like a crazy video. I was like, yo, this woman is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I love it. Like, I love it. Like at my mom's group, everyone followed you, because I was like, no, follow her. You will like not regret it.
I'm nuts. I'm out of this world. I
love it.
I just don't care. I just don't care. I've lost all sense of caring. I actually was looking back at like my archives on Instagram the other day of like my stories like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I like came out of whatever that was, because it was so it was the Instagram of like what it was 2 or 3 years ago. It was like perfect. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore. I'm like, having fun. I can't.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love it. Mary, you're such an inspiration. You are such an inspiration. You have no idea how many people you are really, really, really affecting. And it's great. Like, honestly.
Thank you. Same right back at you. Seriously.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, one of these days we're gonna have to meet up in person. We've been saying that, but I've been locked in the freaking house with the baby on my boobs. So
no, I get it. Like you have no idea how much I get it. So I'm always like, I get it. Like, because when we were gonna meet, I was like, I'm pregnant. Okay, wonderful. And then it's like, it's so hard to like just do it, but we got to.
Well, I even posted like a reel I did tonight was like, I don't have any friends. And I'm like, but I'm like, I do have friends, but it's just like, how the hell am I supposed to see them? Like when in the heck am I supposed to get out of this house and go see them? And not to be like I love my own free time. I hardly get any time by myself. So when I get time, I'd rather just not see anyone. I have to be in a very specific mood if I want to get out with people.
Yeah. I get it. Like my friend got mad at me the other day because she goes, you never see me and blah, 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 and all this stuff like that. And I don't have conversation with her for hours at a time. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you know about kids, but they could care less. Needing time to yourself.
They don't care. They have no idea about personal space.
Like, whatever. I don't care. Like, I will wake up right now at 3 a.m. just to piss you off for kicks and giggles.
Well, Cassie, I went on a run this weekend on Saturday, and I went by myself. And Cassie was like, why can't I go on a run with you? Why do you go by yourself? And I'm like, because I don't want to be near you right now. Why don't you want to be by us? And I was like, Mommy needs space alone so she doesn't lose her mind.
Yeah.
Why are you going to lose your mind? I'm like, you're just going to keep asking me questions? Like,
this is why I'm losing my mind, because
leave me alone.
Kennedy on a Saturday, she got about 6 questions, and then that's it. I'm losing it. Like, I don't have the time.
How old's Kennedy?
Kennedy's 6. She's 6.
1 year. Yeah, she's 1 year above Cassidy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just 1 year. Yeah. They would play it would be so cute, because some things that Cassidy does, I'm like, wow, Kennedy just did that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cassidy has fun with everyone. There is no person that
she is so cute.
Have fun with Cassidy. Cassidy makes friends every single place that we go to. She's like, she makes me proud in her social.
Oh, I love it.
I was not that way. I was like a shy, reserved little child.
Yeah. But yeah, Kennedy's a little reserved.
Well, Cassidy's
She's
break her out of that. So
okay. Kennedy's preserved. Yeah, I would say that because like when we're out, someone has to like grab her to come into the fun.
All right, well, Cassidy will do that. So
Yeah.
we're all good.
Of course. Yeah, I'll. You know what? I have so many New Jersey adventures that I'm just gonna send a bunch your way, and whenever we get out, so we'll be great.
You should do the Crayola Factory. Have you done that yet?
We should do that. Oh my God, yeah.
It's only like 20 minutes. It's like 20 minutes away from me.
Yep. We'll do that. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And we love Crayola Factory, so that would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yay.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being on. I thought this was like a great little chat. I think that's just
yes, this was great.
It's good for just moms to hear different perspectives on different things, and
definitely this is great.
Real moms talking real life things.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, tell everyone where they can find you, and if you got anything else, then you can add that.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Katayah, Katayah, and then I do have a blog that I just started, so be gentle and patient with me. But it is the Budget Friendly Joneses Travel.
I love that.
Thank you.
You should come and organize my pantry.
Oh no, for real. I need to do that. Like I'm still organizing. I just don't showcase it. But that's the only way I live my life.
You should. I think it's so do you like the ASMR? Have you seen those? Like where it's just like the sound.
Yes, with the sound, and then it's like you're pouring like
it's so soothing for some reason. I love watching those. You should do those.
It really is. I know I should do it one day. It
makes me feel inspired. It makes me feel like I can do that. And then when it comes down to it, I like walk in the house with like a bunch of organizing bins, and Kevin's like, "What are you doing with those?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
I don't know. I'm never going to use them, but I don't know.
But I have an idea. One day.
Yes, one day. No, but for real, it is fun. It's soothing for me, and I feel like it's the only way I function.
Yeah,
it's the only way I function.
I'm organized chaos. That's just my life. So
it's good.
Hey, well, I'll tag your account and I'll put all the information. So just make sure you send me your information. I'll put that in the show notes for anyone that's listening. And yay, thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much, Mary. This was great.
Another episode down and way more to go. But thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support this podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share it with others and post about it on your own social media or leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how helpful and how appreciated those things are for me. Of course, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me over on Instagram at The Very Merry Life, over on TikTok, The Very Merry Life. And even if you wanted to check out my monthly newsletter, you can do so by subscribing over at theverymerrylife.com. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more honest, raw, real chit chat. I have some amazing moms lined up coming on, and shit's going to get fun. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be good.